Hi, I'm Emmeline Lacroix, and I'm a blind climber on the U.S. Paranational rock climbing team.
Hi, I'm Alana Taub, and I'm Emmeline's caller, so I call routes and I go to competitions with her.
We're here at the front in Salt Lake City, Utah, and we're going to teach you how to climb if you're blind.
So a couple of tips from blind climber and myself for callers. Few things. One is be thoughtful about being efficient with your words. So for example, instead of saying, now you can move your right hand, just say right hand. Skip right to the direction, especially when a climber's been on the wall for 5 minutes. It can get really fatiguing. And so any bit of efficiency you can gain by just thinking about your words is really, really helpful. To that end, don't stop talking. This is always my number one tip for callers. Just keep going, just keep giving information, especially if a climber is waiting. So for example, if I have both of my hands on, say my right hand, if I don't move to the right foot, then move to the left foot, then move to the left hand, and just keep going, because a lot of times I might be waiting for more information before I keep going. I might want to know, okay, I'm gonna make a big dynamic move up, and then I'll land my right foot. So I need that extra information before I move. So just keep talking, be efficient, and go in that circular direction of giving, again, the directions. One other thing to keep in mind is that this is absolutely a two-way communication, and there's lots of times where I'm talking to Alana and asking her questions as I'm climbing, and there should definitely be room for that and room for tweaking. Everybody's different. Calling is very difficult, and it takes partnership and time to develop, but anybody can do it, I promise. And over time, you're going to be able to understand your climber's wingspan, their flexibility, their preferred style, and just by that collaboration, it's going to become really, really smooth. So when it comes to actually communicating with your climber on the wall, you got three main options. So the most low tech is just shouting at your climber as they go. This is something that various people, that's their preference. Pros of shouting is no technology required and no technical difficulties. Cons of shouting is that sometimes it can be really hard to hear, especially on busy days at the gym. So a bit of a balance there. The other pro of shouting is that it's instantaneous. So as soon as the caller says something, the climber hears. And that can actually really matter once you get to more difficult climbs and you're looking for tiny little holds. Knowing that you moved a little too far to the right, that second difference can really matter. So that's option number one. Option number two is you can just do a good old-fashioned phone call with Bluetooth headsets. And this is what Alana and I did for a very long time. Benefit of this is that a lot of people have Bluetooth headsets. Phone service is usually fairly decent, and you can be a little bit quieter. It's easier as the climber to communicate back to your caller if you need to talk to them. And usually that works fairly well. A couple issues with the phone call. One is that there's definitely a noticeable delay. You can hear it. It's about maybe a 2-second echo. For most things, it doesn't really matter, but once you start to get to more difficult climbs, it can really get in the way. The other is technical difficulties. So Alana and I actually ran into this in Switzerland last year at the World Cup. Our phone call cut out halfway through, and we had to go back to option number one of shouting. So phone calls can be a great halfway starting point, and absolutely, if you want to keep your investment at a minimum, super fair. The third and the most high-tech option is to go with a proper sports headset. So Alana and I use the SWATCOM Multicom 2 that were generously gifted to us by SWATCOM. So headsets like this are really great because you get the instant feedback and you also get the reliability without the delay. And in general, you're not going to have a technical difficulty with something like this that's just going to be straight connected, especially if you get something really good quality.
So every climber is different, and everyone's going to kind of have their own preference for how they would like to be notified of holds on the wall. But I'll give you some options, and you can kind of choose which one works for you. So the first technique is what we call clock positions. So let's say I'm climbing this blue route right in front of me. So my hands are comfortably at my forehead height, and I want to notify my climber that they need to go up and to their left. So generally, 12 o'clock is going to be straight up, 3 o'clock would be sharply on our right, 9 o'clock would be sharply on our left. So if I have my feet, which I can just either grab my climber's hands and kind of notify them of where the holds are, or I can give them it's at their knee height and I can have them step. I would simply say left hand at their 11 o'clock, so I'm reaching up into my left. And this way, the climber knows they need to go up and to the left. The second technique option is going to be relying on the climber to naturally move and however they feel comfortable, and then refining the movement with an in or an out. So in means more midline or more to their nose or center of their body, and out would be farther away, so I'm like stretching out. So if I was just gonna stand up, and the climber went out here, which is farther to the left of the hold, I would say in, and that means I'm going to be moving in towards my body and potentially a little bit down. So then I could say right hand straight up, and I go straight up above my head. The third technique would be referencing relative to body parts, which I kind of have included in other ones, but now for more explicitly, let's say I want them to get their right foot at their hip height as their second hold, and I would say their left foot is going to start a little bit below their knee. So standing here, reaching straight up and standing up. Now my next foot is going to be right by their right knee. So left hand is going up high, right hand reaches up, and then right foot needs to go up by their right knee, and they hit it right here. And then they can proceed left hand straight up above their left shoulder. They reach straight up above their left shoulder. Then right foot can go right by their left knee, and they can kind of adjust accordingly. The third technique is actually what we do, which is called M-line inches. So we like to envision that the distance between bolts is about 4-ish, so 4 to the right and up 2. So this would be right foot 4, up 2. All the gyms are going to have different paneling, and so the orientation of the bolt holds might be different, but you can kind of adjust accordingly. So we like to say these are about 4 inches, 4 M-line inches, which is relatively a fixed distance, except when she's a little bit fatigued. So towards the top of the wall, when you're a little bit tired, you might want your climber to go a little bit farther, and you can tell that they're like getting tired. So like if you want it to actually be 10, you might say it's like right 15, so they try a little bit more. But an example for this would be you notify your climber of where your start and feet are, and then relative to the body part that they're moving, so left hand would be left 8, up 8, left hand, left 8, up 8. Then right foot could go straight up 8. Then right hand, relative to where they are, straight up 16, up here. Left foot, straight up 8, again. Left hand, straight up 16, and you can just keep on going in this pattern. This one is pretty nice because they're straight up and down, but you can always refine with more movement if you want to go left 4, and then up 2. You can go right 4, up 1, and you can kind of figure out what mechanics work for you and your climber. So Emma and I are about to climb this blue climb, and so before she actually gets off the ground, I'm going to kind of talk through the route a little bit so she knows what to expect. So here I would say there are 5 bolts that are going to be straight up, and then it's a little bit more overhung, and then it's again flat at the top. This way she has a general idea of how to manage her pump, whether or not she needs to be going super far left, super far right. And this is really nice because there's actually no climber to the left or right, so we don't have to worry about, okay, there's a climber that might kind of swing into your space. Also, it's a lot easier for me to call if I can move around freely in the space, so we actually thankfully have someone else to belay for us, which means that I can kind of walk around without having to focus on belaying. So right now I'm going to identify the start hold. So if we look at forehead height, that is the start hold. And then I'm going to tell her that she's going to have 6 foot chips to start. So left hand down 8, left 8, left, perfect, down 8, left 2, down 6, right 10, right 2, right there, perfect. From your left hand, straight up 10. From that hand, straight right 12. And then up 2, left 1. All right, so now she knows all of her feet that she can use. And now we're also going to tell her her first hold is left hand, left 6, up 12. It's important to note that even though there's distances between the bolts, we actually want to identify the part of the hold that the climber is going to be comfortably able to grab onto. So the hold that she's going is pretty large. The bottom of the hold is actually only probably about left 5, up 6 or 7, but she needs to go another like 4 or 5 higher to grab the top of it. And this is actually a pretty good jug. A nice hint to note is wherever there's like white shading, this chalk, that's normally the better edge to grab onto. And I normally also tell her the type of hold. So climbing holds to start, most people start on jugs, which are like buckets. They're really good handlebars that you can comfortably grab onto and really big feet that you can step onto. But we also have some other hold angles. So we have side pulls where you're going to be coming in from the sides. Pinches where you want to squeeze really tight between your thumbs and your fingers. Underclings where you kind of come in from below. And then we have slopers, which are big kind of like melon-like things where you just put as much palm and finger surface area as you can and kind of like pull down onto them essentially to engage as much of that surface area as possible. So if there's a notable hold that she needs to go to, I would essentially tell her left hand's going to a sloper, and then I would say left hand, left 10 up 2, so she knows it's a sloper.
So you might sometimes come across holds that are a little complicated or not necessarily a cookie cutter jug or a sloper. but you can definitely take the time to think about a really creative description, especially if you're still on the ground. That's the time to think about it. So for example, Alana's described holds to me before that is like a banana, but the middle is as if somebody had stepped on it and smushed it down, right? Or an ear, or a lot of ours are based off of food. So we have like toasts and eggs and French fry pinches and all these things. But really think creatively about how to describe, because there's almost always a way to do it. It just might not be the most obvious thing the first time around, but absolutely worth it.
Left foot up 6, left hand left 1, up 14, right foot 2 higher than your right knee. Left hand straight up 20, good. Right foot down 6, right 1, down 3, right 1, good. Left foot right 1, up 10, right foot up to start, good. Right foot straight up, right hand straight up 14, match your hands there. Left hand's gonna go 6 higher than your right hand, left foot knee height but left 2, right foot up by your right hip. From your hands, right 2 up 10, good. Left, good, left foot up 3. From your hands, left 2, up 12, left hand side pull S, right foot 2 higher than your right knee. Right hand from your left, right 14, up 2. From that left hand, right 2, up 2, left foot knee height, but left 6. Left hand's gonna go left 16, so it's a left hand side pull. Left big toe is on, right there. Good, you don't have a foot on your right. Left hand, yep, right there. A little higher, 3 higher will be a larger portion. Switch your feet, left goes to your right. Okay, left foot up, good, right foot 6 higher than your right knee, but right 8. Yep. Left hand, left 2, up 14, small jog, okay. Left foot, left 2, up 6, right foot knee height, but right 6. Left foot, left 2, up 6. Left 2, down 3. Perfect, there you go. That big toe is on, good.
Unless a gym is setting holds in a tactile difference, which some gyms do, which is great, there's not a really great way for you to know without your collar. And so every time you move, you might move your foot or grab a hand, and you might just want to wait a second to see if your collar says off, if you care about staying on one route. You can absolutely rainbow, which means climbing everything you can touch. But the benefit of climbing on route just means that you'll be able to work certain movement patterns and follow a little bit the regiment that the route setter thought up for you. Your collar can actually climb the route before you do so that they can understand the beta and know all the holds. If your goal is to get competitive at some point, your collar will not be able to do that. But as a starting place, I found this really helpful for a lot of my collars. So they get kind of like the gist. And then over time, then they're able to stop climbing before me and they're able to just call the beta as they get more used to doing that. So those are the fundamentals of climbing as a blind person, and we hope they help get you started on the wall. So find a local adaptive climbing program near you, and if you're ever in Utah, check out the National Ability Center for even more incredible adaptive sports programming. And if you'd like to keep up with me, you can find me on Instagram. Links are in the description below. Climb on!
Thanks for watching.